Jai Hind दोस्तों, and I welcome all the lovely viewers of Youth Weds Passion Show and all the charming aspirants of How to Crack SSB. और सबसे पहले सभी भारतीयों को, सभी व्यूअर्स को भारत के 70वें गणतंत्र दिवस की जो हम इस 26 जनवरी को आज से ठीक 3 दिन बाद मनाने वाले हैं उसकी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। इसी दिन भारत का संविधान लागू में आया था जो हमारे लिए एक बहुत गर्व की बात है। So today is the 28th episode of the Youth Weds Passion Show and 27 episodes we are done. Psychology was completed in the last episode. And today we will be starting up with one of the very important, one more assessment of SSB, that is interview. So interview is something which plays a vital role in determining various officer-like quality of the aspirants directly and indirectly. Now, before we start up with the interview, what all things are there in the interview, why it is conducted, what the interviewing officer is looking for, and how you have to handle it. Before that, in today's episode, our focus would going to be, and we will be understanding and talking on a very important aspect which is done prior to the interview but plays a leading role in the interview. Interview से पहले करी जाती है but it plays a very vital and leading role in the interview. So today we will be talking on the PIQ form, Personal Information Questionnaire. So what is a PIQ form? I believe majority of you, many of the viewers who have already appeared for the SSB or the ones who are planning to go for the first time, they must have already read about PIQ or they must be knowing about what is PIQ. But there are few very important things that we need to understand in PIQ and what it is, because as I have always said that in SSB, everything has been designed very systematically, very scientifically and with a very subtle approach. बड़ी गहराई की सोच से उस चीज को बनाया गया है। PIQ form भी उन्हीं में से एक चीज है। So what is the PIQ form? It is a very simple questionnaire, जैसा आपको आपकी स्क्रीन पे दिख रहा है। So this questionnaire has various fields of general information which you have to fill. Now this questionnaire, this PIQ form is distributed to all the candidates after screening, once you are screened in, and very casually the duty officer who will be there in the testing hall will ask you to fill this PIQ form. जब आप screening complete कर लेंगे तो जो duty officer होगा वो testing hall में आपसे इस form को भरने के लिए कहेगा. You have to fill this PIQ form. Now, this form is given at that moment and is asked very casually that you just need to give your general details. On top of it, the way it is designed is something which gives the candidate a feeling that yes, it is a very casual form. Like, it will ask you what's your name, your father's name, then about your study, then about your sibling, brother, sister if you have, guardian in case if your parents are not alive, then what are your hobbies, then about your studies, then about your interest area, then you are applying from which entry scheme like NDA, CDS, OTA, and what's your preference for the forces, it's Army, Navy, Air Force. Likewise, very general details. Now deliberately, the PIQ form has been designed in this way that it looks very general to you, and deliberately it is asked to you to fill it very casually, and at that particular time when you cannot even think of that we are in the mode of assessment. आपसे उस समय भरवाया जाएगा जब आपको ये रियलाइज नहीं होगा कि जी हमारी असेसमेंट हो रही है। अब समझते हैं एक बारी PIQ फॉर्म में ऐसा खास क्या है, what is so special about PIQ form, that why it is so important and why it is asked by the assessor, by the duty officer, to be filled very casually, and why it has been designed and how it has been designed in the way that it gives a great insight about the candidate. You can say it's like PIQ form is that one form which will going to tell majority of the personality of a candidate who is appearing for the interview. So before you go in front of the IO interviewing officer, he will going to know a good deal about yourself, a good insight of your one's personality. तो PIQ फॉर्म को समझते हैं. PIQ फॉर्म जैसे आप देख रहे हो, इसमें अलग अलग there are different paras, different columns have been given. So like if you will see, it asks you to fill your name in capital letters, then your father's name, then place of maximum residency, as in like where you have been putting for the maximum time, then your present address, where you are located. Then it asks you that at your present address, what is the approximate population of the city, permanent address with approximate population of the city. Then it asks you for fill in the details, like very simple, where you need to fill about your parents, their occupation, their income per month, then your educational records, then how many brothers and sisters you have, and what's your ranking among your brother and sister, that you are the eldest or you are the youngest or you are midway, then education and occupation of your brother sister, then your age in year months, your height, weight. Likewise, you can see there are 14 different columns in this form where you need to fill. So it's basically a both side form. Now, important is, let me tell you how this PIQ form, which you have just seen right now, how it tells and how it plays in giving a great insight about your personality to the IO, to the interviewing officer. So now if you try to see the kind of fields they have kept, starting from very casual, your name, father's name, then your address, then approximate population in your city where you are putting up, then the education of your parents, then their income, then brother and sisters, then your weight, height, then your hobbies. Now what happened? Generally at the time, as I have always said, that Indian Armed Forces officer, or if I talk about the forces soldier, is that one person who lives in the reality and who accepts the reality wholeheartedly. That is why in the worst of the worst situation, they lead it very wholeheartedly and very normally. That is why they are able to cope up with the extreme situation, because they accept the reality. Now, from this point, generally what happens, when you fill up this form, there are many fields which you are not aware of. Or in other words, because you have never asked or you have never been very much aware and conscious or very much receptive about this information, so there are many fields which you don't know. For example, कितने सारे बच्चे होते हैं उनको यही नहीं पता होता कि हमारे पेरेंट्स ने एजुकेशन में क्या करा है. कितने सारे candidates, there are a lot many candidates who even don't know that what is the monthly income of our parent. There are so many candidates I have seen who even don't know that there are so many candidates I have personally seen when I was also going for the SSB, and after that even in my various sessions, where they don't know that what is their height, what is their weight. Now, at the time when this form is given, you are not under a pressure of an assessment. So you are not conscious about it. So you are very relaxed. Even, let me tell you, you are even more pumped at that time because you have just got screened in and you are very happy that I got screened in, and after that, within the testing hall, while you are sitting in the testing hall, these forms are given to you and the duty officer gives you the instruction to fill the form. at that time, the probability that you will going to create or you will going to create a problem for your own self is even high. I'll tell you how. So fields which generally the candidates don't know, they try to write something in that which they feel that, okay, it's just a form, let's fill in the form. Like I'll give an example. So there are many candidates who don't know their height, so they just make a simple bluff. या जिसे कह सकते हैं तुक्का मार दिया. तो होता है ना कि कहता है यार क्या करना है, मतलब कौन देखेगा, लिख देते हैं ना, सिर्फ पूछ ही तो रहे हैं. Same goes with the weight. Then when it comes to parents, same it goes with the parents. That you say, okay, who will go and will ask my father that what you have done. Even if I also don't know that he has done graduation or he's a post-grad or whatever he has done, let me write anything. Then when it comes to your hobbies and all those things, then you always try to write those things with a perception. Those tell a good personality, or it showcases something good of your personality, or it showcases that you are a very strong personality in one way or the other. So you have that perception, writing hobbies, that if someone is reading, he or she must feel good about me. So you write reading newspaper. So all those things which you generally feel are intellectual things, even though you don't do it, you still say, okay, it is just for writing, let me write all those things. So generally what happens, many things which you don't know, and because you are not conscious, because at that time you do not have any pressure of the assessment while you are filling this form, on top of it you have just cleared the screening, so you are more pumped in. So at that moment, the probability that what you will going to write is not accurate and is very much something which you are just writing without any know-how, or in other words, that you are just writing it just for the heck of writing, that I have been given a form and let me write. कि खाना पूर्ति करनी है कि यार दिया है तो लिख देते. So you write in this way. Now what happens when you write and when you fill this form so casually and without paying the attention, without being conscious about it, this is the place where you are completely hijacked by the interviewing officer. This is one of the most important reason why majority of candidates, when they come out of the interviewing room, they are crying. I can share my case with you. When I went for 121 NDA, when I got recommended in 121 and 122 NDA, in both I got recommended. In both the times, there were candidates who just went for the interview before me, and they came crying out of the interviewing officer, the IO rooms. What is the reason? The reason is because just your ignorance, not paying the attention and being casual about filling up the PIQ form creates a disastrous moment for you, or you yourself get stuck up in a situation where you are not able to perform in the interview. So that is why the PIQ form plays a vital role in your interview and in determining the success in your interview in front of the interviewing officer. Because whatever you will going to write here and whatever you will going to speak in front of the IO will actually tell that whatever you have written, that is truly within you, or you have just written that just for the heck of it, or you are just trying to bluff, which certainly will showcase very clearly that you do not have the officer-like qualities within you. And that will going to create a reason for your non-recommendation. So let me do one thing. Let me precisely pick up one or two very important areas when it comes to PIQ form. So, for example, the para of, if you will see the column number 8, where it asks you for the age, height and weight. Now in this column, because many of the candidates don't know their height in meters, do not know their weight, exact weight, or at times they say, I just checked my weight 6 months ago or 1 year ago, I don't know what exactly it is right now. So it is recommended that these all things you must be aware of, because Indian Armed Forces always expect that you are very much aware of your surroundings, and that's what is the quality of a soldier. If you are sitting on the front, you are very much alert about your surroundings. So this PIQ form tells that how much you are conscious and alert about your surroundings. If you are living in a city and if you don't know what is the approximate population, what you will going to, how you will going to fight for your country, how you will going to protect it at the same point of time, because this shows your casualness, this shows your ignorance. If you ask, technically, is my height has to do with anything with the country's defense? No, but yes, it shows your casualness. So these things you must check before going for the SSB. Why? Because if you have written anything in your height or weight, let me tell you, within the interviewing officer room, at times he has that measuring tape and he has that weighing scale. He will ask you, okay gentlemen, can you just go and stand over there? And there, if there is a huge difference or something abrupt difference in what you have written and what comes as your actual height, he will going to easily understand a very, very strong weakness of your personality, and that is you are an ignorant and casual person. And anyone who is ignorant and casual cannot be deployed for the defense of a nation, because he itself will going to be the biggest leakage and threat to the nation. क्योंकि आप अगर इतने ignorant हैं तो आपको हम देश की रक्षा पे कैसे लगा सकते हैं? So that is why it's very important. Feels like weight, height, then about your parents' education, then what is the average per monthly income they have, then the area in which you are residing, the approximate population of that area. These all things which are there in the PIQ form. This PIQ form which I have shown you, this PIQ form is the template of this form is already in there in the official book of How to Crack SSB. So you can take that book. If you already have, then it's great. So all those fields are there. So do take a note of all those things before going for the SSB. Just cross check all those information so that you should not write something which is absolutely meaningless or which is wrong. And please never ever bluff. I'll give an example. So at times you need to apply your common sense also, which I have seen majority of candidates are not able to apply. At times what happens is like you don't know your height. So when you are filling this PIQ form, so at that time the atmosphere is very casual. So you can always ask any of your colleague who is sitting over there, you can always ask that you know about your height. If anyone who is very sure about it, you can just have a comparison from it. So this is what I'm saying is just showcases your common sense, even though if you have forgotten to check it. But it is advisable before you go, please take a note of all these things. Weight, height, education, parents' education, your brother and sister education, their income per month, then your average population of the area, all these things. So this way you will be able to answer and justify yourself within the interview to the IO. Now there are few more fields which will going to tell a very, very subtle aspect of your personality, very subtle aspects of your personality, or in other words, various OLQs will going to be assessed by those columns and those fields. Now let's understand what are those columns. ये वाले तो जनरल हो गए, जैसे मैंने आपको बता दिया, नाम, पेरेंट्स का, आपकी इनकम, एजुकेशन, हाइट, वेट. So you don't have to bluff over there. It's very easy. Before going, just take a note of that. Now let's understand those fields which tell and which give the IO a great insight about your officer-like qualities through that column, through those areas which you have written in the PIQ form. Now, one of the area, if you will see, you can see column number, there are column number 10, which ask you about any NCC training you have been. So, this 10th column, NCC training, if I talk about, this is again a very, very important field. Now, this is important for everyone, even though you are going by the direct NCC entry, because in that certainly, obviously, they will easily get to know that yes, you are from NCC. And even though if you are not going via NCC entry, but you are going with from any other entry scheme like NDA or CDS, and still because it asks you that if you have done NCC, please write it, then also you will write it. Now, this is a very important column. Majority of candidates write about NCC with the perception that the interviewing officer will be very happy to know that I have the flavor of Indian Armed Forces because I have been into that particular wing of defense which promotes youngsters to join Indian Armed Forces as a career, and that is National Cadet Corps, NCC. So, candidates write with this perception, but for an IO, writing about NCC creates a expectation from an IO. And what is that expectation? Expectation means if you have been into an environment or if you have been into the NCC, you must have those basic etiquette along with those basic things which are there in a soldier. Because NCC gives you that grounding, NCC gives you those fundamentals. Like I'll give you a very simple example. When you get into the IO room, so before you get into the IO room, the interviewing officer will going to read and scrutinize your PIQ form before you enter into the room. So he has already read your PIQ form. Now you enter into the room, you stand in front of the IO, and so it's like the way I am sitting, and in front of me, somewhere at a distance of 5-6 meters, there will be a standalone chair for the candidate. You stand there, you greet, and you wait till the time IO asks you to sit down. Now, till the time the way you are standing, if you are an ex-NCC cadet and you have written in your PIQ form that I have done NCC, then at least this becomes the expectation of the IO that you must have that particular posture. You must know how to stand in front of an officer. What is when you are standing? So, attention, how you have to stand in attention, and your overall posture must give a feel of a soldier. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है कि आई हैव सीन मेनी कैंडिडेट्स आर देयर इन एनसीसी जस्ट फॉर फन एंड दे हैव नॉट इवन those few etiquettes or basic learnings which NCC give them. And when this thing comes in and they have written NCC and they are with the IO, they get stuck up and it gives a very, very bad impression. Or in other words, it tells again about your weakness and lack of officer-like quality. So if you are an NCC cadet, please, and you are writing it, then you have to understand and you have to ensure that basic things which are taught in NCC, you must adhere to them and you must have the know-how, because this becomes the expectation of the defense person. He even might ask you to tell the official song of NCC, जो है कि हम सब भारतीय हैं. अब बहुत सारे बच्चों को ये गाना ही नहीं पता होता, हम सब भारतीय हैं. So those few things are required when you are writing it. Understood? Now next column is in the same way, your participation in games and sports. So this column asks you to write about your participation in games and sports, where which game you have played and then what is the duration, from which time till what time you have played it, then at what level, and then the outstanding achievement. Now again, this is a very, very important column. Now generally what happens, majority of candidates, because we play a lot of things even in our school and college, we prefer to write, okay, let me write anything. Someone write cricket, football, hockey, volleyball, basketball. So you say, okay, it is just for writing, it is just a simple sport. And then there are candidates who have the habit of bragging things. We always try to exaggerate things. That I used to play table tennis at my school level, and then I played at inter-school or at national level, and I won gold medal, silver medal, like this. Because we generally always feel that who will going to check the credentials? Just write it. But here, again, you create a problem and you invite a problem for yourself. How? The more you write, the more you have to answer, and that too more precisely. So what I mean by this, if you have written a game, let's say lawn tennis or a table tennis, and you write over there that I am playing it since 2010 till date, which means more than 8 years, right? And let's say in your column at what level, so you say at college level or you say at inter-school level, an outstanding performance that I have been winning silver, bronze, or I have won the match at intra-school level only within the school. Anything, or there could be a possibility you don't write it. Now the moment you have written this, now there is an expectation of the IO that if you have touched this level, this simply means you must be knowing all the very basic fundamentals of that game. And this is absolutely fine also. भाई अगर आपने किसी गेम में सिल्वर, ब्रॉन्ज या इंट्रा स्कूल तक भी कुछ जीता है तो आपको रूल्स तो पता होंगे, करेक्ट? So now he will going to test how much honest you are, which will indirectly going to tell about your officer-like personality. So in this case, he or she might throw the first question to you. Okay, tell me, gentlemen, that what is the size of the table tennis table? अब अगर आपने कभी इस गेम को इतना सीरियसली खेला नहीं, मजाक में खेला, अब आप फंस जाओगे. आपको यार हम तो मजाक में खेलते थे, we used to play just for fun and we never even had this thing, or we never even checked that what is the size and how I can tell a size. Then he might ask you, okay, so which racket you used to use? Which is the best racket? How to determine it is a good table tennis racket? What is the weight of the racket? So these are very basic things which if a person has played any game seriously, he or she will definitely know it. It's not about at what level. It's about seriously you have been playing it, or in other words, you have been fully involved into it. Serious means you have been involved into it. It is not just casually or in an ignorant way you are just doing it. You have been involved into it. Now, the moment if you are not able to answer this question, again this will going to show your weakness, and again it will going to tell the IO that you have just a habit of bragging and exaggerating things, which tells him that you are not fit for an officer in Indian Armed Forces, because this is against the personality of the officer. So it's highly recommended that before you go for the SSB, at least prepare one such sport which you have been playing from your school time, and you can write over there whenever you were in the school from that year till the year you have played it. And there is no level that at what level you have played it or achievement, that's not important. They have written in the bracket if any, agar aapki koi rahi hai. You just have to write from which year till which year or till date if you are playing it. But before going, pick up one sport which you really have been playing and which you like. And before going for the SSB, do take a knowledge of that sport in terms of the rules and regulation, the few facts of that game, then few of the legendary players of that game, then what is the best thing that you find in that game as compared to other games. So things like this must be on your tips, and you should be clear for all those things, so that whenever interviewing officer asks you, you should not get stuck up, or you should not invite a problem for your own self. And please do not bluff and do not write anything which is just bragging or exaggerating while filling the PIQ form in this column. Now the next column, if you will see this column number 11th B part, it asks you about your hobbies and interest. And likewise, you can see the 11th C column, which asks you about your participation in extracurricular activities. Now, these two columns also play a very, very important role, which will going to tell everything, and it will going to give a very detailed insight about your personality and the officer-like quality that you have. Now, the biggest problem and the biggest mistake which majority of candidates do, and they invite the biggest problem for their own self in front of the IO, is that in the hobby and interest section, they brag like anything, or they write things so casually, due to which they get stuck up and they start crying. As I have already mentioned, so generally we have a habit. You will even realize it, that in many various places it happens that when someone asks us that what are our hobbies, we usually always tend to say so many things. So it's general psychology of majority of people that they'll say, okay, I play cricket also, this also, this also, this also, so many things. Now important here is hobby/interest. Why they have written hobby and interest? Because something which is a hobby, यानी कि जिसको आप खाली समय में करते हैं, वो आप तभी करेंगे जब वो आपके इंटरेस्ट का हो. और इन अदर वर्ड्स, आप खाली समय में वही काम करेंगे जो आपको अच्छा लगता है. Now here again the same problem comes in. What? You write something just to show off, and then you invite a problem for your own self. Like, most simple thing. You write here reading books, reading novels, or something you write general, reading newspaper, or watching intellectual movies, or watching action movies, whatever it is. Now, in this case, the very first question I will ask you that, okay gentlemen, tell me that in last 3 days back, what was he might ask, like, let's say for example, you have written reading newspaper. So the IO start, okay, which newspaper you read? So you say, I read TOI, Hindustan, Economics, Tribune, whatever, let's say. Now, the next question would be, okay gentlemen, tell me, what was the front page news in the TOI 4 days back? अब आप फंस गए, क्योंकि न्यूज़पेपर आप ऐसे तो पढ़ते नहीं हो, बट आपने यहां लिख दिया अपने इंटरेस्ट में. Now here there will be a big problem. Now he can also ask you, okay, tell me in TOI which all supplementary newspaper comes with the TOI. अब अगर आपने कभी गलती से पढ़ी थी या पढ़ते ही नहीं, आप क्या बताओगे कौन सी सप्लीमेंट्री आती है? Then again, next he can ask you, how many number of pages are in the main newspaper of TOI? So what will happen? Just your ignorance or casually writing or just bragging will going to put you in a problem, which will tell IO that you are a personality who's not genuine, or who have a nature to brag things. And in this way, slowly and slowly, you will going to be caught in your own mesh. आप अपने ही बनाए हुए जाल में फंस जाओगे. खुद ही लिखा था, वहीं से आपको आयो फंसाना स्टार्ट करेगा, and you will stuck up like anything, and you will feel so suffocating कि आप बिल्कुल नर्वस हो जाओगे and you won't be able to do anything. So it's highly recommended that whatever you write in hobbies, okay, whatever you write in your interest, please write that which is a genuine interest. Because let me tell you, because there it becomes more problem where something which you have written in the interest and by chance the interviewing officer genuinely has the same interest. Like you have written reading books or reading fiction writings, and by chance the interviewing officer is also fond of fiction writing. Now here the conversation would be very interesting and is going to be very tough for you. Why? क्योंकि IO का भी इंटरेस्ट वही है जो आपने वहां लिख दी है. Now it will be more precise. And if what you have written is not your genuine interest, or you have in other words bluffed, or you have just exaggerated, you will going to stuck up and it will going to create a big problem for you. So please, the mantra for writing in this column so that you should be able to succeed is write that only which you know or which you can handle. So any hobby, you might have 10 hobbies, it's better to write only 2. But before going for the SSB, take a know-how of those hobbies and only write those which you genuinely frequently do and they are genuinely your hobbies. Don't just brag or don't write just for the heck of writing. Otherwise, you will be in a big problem. Same is the case with the co-curricular activities. So co-curricular activities are some extra activities. Okay, one important thing you must understand. Do not confuse between sports and hobbies. There are at times various candidates, they do a mistake. In their interest, they write writing cricket. In their interest column, they write playing cricket. So let the sport be different. Interest are your other areas. So the next column, extracurricular activities are also the same. So you have to write what are the extracurricular activities. You say I was in the Nukkad Natak, or you say I was into the literary society. So likewise, if you have bragged, if you have bluffed, you will be stuck up because the question that the IO will start asking you will put you into a situation where you won't be able to handle it. So most important mantra which is required for you in order to succeed in interviewing officer is number 1, most important for which today's session is there is please fill the PIQ form very honestly, very sincerely and very, very consciously and very, very something which is in reality. Do not bluff, do not brag, do not exaggerate. That's the most important point if you want to succeed in interview. Otherwise, you will be in a problem. Same is the case with the next 11D column if I talk about. That asks you that have you achieved any outstanding thing in your NCC Scout or while performing this. Now, if you write yes, if you have achieved any accolade or any acknowledgement, then obviously the expectation of IO increases. That if you have been given an accolade, that means you already have an inbuilt soldier within you. So the idea is whatever you write has to be very genuine, something on which you have a strong hold, write that only. On anything which you might have done but you do not have a strong hold, it is strongly advised, please do not write in a PIQ form. It will be a big problem for you. Last, which is very important, 2 important things. In the next column, if you see the column number 12 and column number 14, 13, 14. Now in column 12, it asks you that which is your entry scheme like NDA, 10+2, CDS, after graduation, OTA, and which is your preference, Army, Navy, Air Force. Now here also you have to be very smart. So at times if you write CDS, you are going through CDS, the IO interviewing officer might ask you that how come you have come from CDS? Why didn't you try through NDA? So you should be very clear on that. That at that particular point of time, I didn't explore the Indian Armed Forces, but after that, knowing about Indian Armed Forces, I have been very much passionate and I really want to give myself for the nation. I want to experience that less ordinary life. Or whatever is your reason, why didn't you appear for NDA? In short, what I'm saying is, whatever you write, you must be clear on that, because here the interviewing officer might cross-question you. And the cross-questioning could be more precise if the interviewing officer is doubtful about your personality from the above answers you have given. Likewise, the next field which is very important to ask you, what is your preference of forces? Army, Navy, Air Force. Very important. Very, very important. I will share my life case. When I went for for my 121 and 122 NDA, and I filled in there Indian Air Force. And the fact is, I wanted to join Indian Air Force as a fighter pilot, but unfortunately, both the times I got recommended. I got joining for Indian Army, but I didn't join because I was passionate only for fighter planes. So from me also, the interviewing officer asked me that why Air Force? Why not Army, Navy? So now you have to be very, 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 here the role of smartness is very important. So if you remember, right from the beginning, I have been telling you that you cannot bluff. But at times you can do a smart play which can make you succeed. But you don't have to bluff. So here, to be very honest, my reason was yes. So I just simply told him that, sir, for me, having a uniform, be it ever white or the blue one or the dark green for the army, it's one and the same thing, because for all the defense personnel, I have that respect and I really love to be a part of Indian Armed Forces. It's just that I am a person who love more challenges, and flying a fighter at a speed of 3000 miles per hour gives me a more challenging and less ordinary experience. That is why my preference is my preference is Indian Air Force. I have filled over there. Otherwise, there is no specific reason that I rate Indian Air Force above Army. That's the only reason. Now, at this point, I have just replied to the IO in a very smart way. Now, here many candidates even create a mistake. They do a mistake. Like, for example, they might say, someone asks them, why not Navy? So many of them say that for majority of time, we have to remain within the ship, within the sea. That's very problematic for me. The moment you say this, your officer-like quality, social adaptability, that you do not have social adaptability is showcased, and surely 100% you will never get recommended. Why? Because it's not about Navy. In Army also, in Air Force also, in various other forces also, adaptability is very important. Navy में आपको भैया समुद्र में रहना पड़ता है, आर्मी में पता नहीं कहां बंकर बना के रहना पड़ जाए. So the idea is, when you handle these questions, you have to be a bit smart enough. These two. And the last, which is again very important, and here this is the column where I have seen majority of repeaters get stuck up. And I would be telling you in the next episodes of the interview that how to handle it. But that column is that, have you attended any SSB previous and you were recommended, not recommended, you have to fill all those status in the last column. So number one, guideline, very clearly, they have the track record wherever you have attended the SSB. So please don't bluff. Don't think that I'll be able to tweak the assessors. Please write simply over there, you have been not recommended, how many chances and not recommendation. Now, how to handle this question, that I'll tell you in the next episode, because this is the area where definitely the interviewing officer will going to cross question you that what do you think that why you were not recommended in the last time. So I'll tell you how to handle it, because this is very important, but in the upcoming episodes. So this is the way you have to handle a PIQ form, and I believe you guys are clear that what is the importance of PIQ form, why PIQ form needs to be filled with so much patience, so much involvement, and 100% with due sincerity, because it determines your success in the interview. So just to conclude, few of the guidelines for filling up the PIQ form. Number one, whatever you write in the PIQ form must be with a absolutely clean handwriting, neat and clean. Number 2, please avoid any cuttings, any overwriting, using any fluid, anything. Number 3, if you have any doubt, you are requested, please get it clarified from the duty officer. Number 4, please adhere to the instruction that duty officer is giving you at that particular moment when you have been asked to fill the PIQ form. Number 5, in all the areas, in all the columns, whatever you will be writing, please maintain the indentation. Indentation is like field name blank, field name blank. So everything should be left aligned in a proper way so that it should look clean. Next, where you have been asked to write your father's name, please add Shri before the name of elders. Right? And before going for the SSB, do take a note of all the facts which are important, like your weight, height, then your parents' occupation, their income, your area population approximate, things like that. And last, before going, please work on your interest area that you'll write and take a knowledge of it, your sports, and whatever you write, most importantly, needs to be correct, genuine, no bluffing, no exaggeration, and no bragging. That's the key to fill the PIQ form in the right way, which will surely determine your success in the interviewing officer. So that's all for today, and in the upcoming episodes, we will talk more about interview, what are the questions, how to handle them, and more about the questions related to the PIQ form. And so in next episode, I will be talking specifically on other aspects of the interview. Till then, thank you so very much for joining me live, and I really love you all. And once again, very, very happy Republic Day to all of you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you.